Okay, it's day 2 of Otakon, and I am with King Chris.
Hello.
So, how did you become interested in comedy and content creation?
Ooh, you want the full story? All right. Well, I started editing videos when I was 13 years old. So I've been editing and making videos for most of my life. And then after high school, I wanted to kind of follow that passion, which is why I started studying film. And I graduated with a degree of directing. And then after I graduated, I didn't really know what to do with my degree. So I just went into, because I didn't want to go into traditional filmmaking, I went into advertising and commercials. And then I did that for a few years. I did different jobs here and there. And then in 2020, I had a full-time job in Germany, but then COVID hit and everybody was sent home. And then while my company was still trying to figure out how do we how do we move forward, I had a lot of free time on my hands. And that's when I started posting my videos on social media, which I've never done before up to that point. When I was editing videos, I only did it to like entertain my friends, and that was my only goal. But then in 2020, I started, posting my videos on TikTok and like Instagram and YouTube. And then again, never with the goal in mind to turn this into anything like a career. That was never even crossed my mind. I just really love making videos. But then over time, I guess it kind of grew into what it is today. And yeah, so making videos has always kind of been something I've done, and I try to keep that same mindset even today, even though it's turned into like a job. I don't want it to ever take the joy that I initially had making videos.
A lot of content creators will say that it's difficult for them to go out into the world without constantly thinking of content creation.
Hmm.
Like if they see a shopping cart, they're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
to do
I should
something
use
funny."
this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's true. That's correct. I think one of the toughest parts, it's like a blessing and a curse, because if you get to do what you love in terms of like content creation, it's a blessing. Of course, it's your passion. It's something you've always wanted to do. But at the same time, because you're not working like a 9 to 5, it's really hard to turn your brain off, because it's always kind of going, and you're always, when creativity in any creative field like music, video, art, whatever it is, if when creativity is like your instrument, um, I think it's very challenging in a lot of aspects, and I think the toughest one is learning how to deal with not being able to come up with ideas, and also learning to deal with constantly coming up with ideas. It's like, so what I, for example, do is whenever I have an idea, I just write it down. I have to write it down, otherwise it's not going to leave my head. It's not going to give me peace. So that's how I do it. And then if I don't have any ideas, I try to not let it frustrate me, because I just have to trust that over time those good ideas will just come to me. I've learned that, like me personally, I cannot force any ideas out of myself. It just has to kind of come to me, and it always does. Sometimes it takes a day or two or a week, and I think that's okay. I think everybody who does content creation should be okay with taking breaks. Otherwise, if you force yourself into doing something, it'll lead to frustration.
And a lot of your characters that you stick with are JoJo and from Naruto, Spy Family, and One Piece.
Yeah.
And it honestly makes like the viewer feel comfortable and familiar with those characters.
Hmm.
Is there any that you enjoy doing the most, or that you're gonna do in the
Ooh.
future?
I think I go through phases with making videos. Those are definitely some of my favorites. And I think there are also some of the most popular ones. That's probably why I do it so much. Um, I don't know if I have a favorite in particular, because it always kind of changes. It also depends on if I'm like by myself or not. Because, for example, I rarely get to do this, but whenever I get to film with my friends who like do a lot of Naruto stuff, of course I'm gonna come up with more Naruto ideas. But if it's just me, myself at home, it really depends on kind kind of the flavor of the month. I try to stay up to date with what's currently coming out. So, for example, currently the new season of Jujutsu Kaisen is being aired, which is why I'm doing more videos related to Jujutsu Kaisen. So I do want to keep it like seasonal and up to date with whatever I do.
My favorite was the Kira one.
Really?
With the Queen song. Because the ending was just like, what is going on?
Like that one.
And then Josuke is like, what?
Thank you.
Yeah, I said that to like so many people.
Really? Oh, gee, that makes me really happy to hear. Yeah, whenever I can, my goal with making videos has always been to make people happy. In the beginning, I made videos just for my friends, just for the few friends I had, to see them smile. And whenever I do get the chance to come out and actually meet people face to face, and they tell me stories like that, it's always very heartwarming, and I really appreciate it.
And I told you earlier that last year, my first Otakon, I interviewed somebody and asked what they were looking forward to, and then they said you.
Right,
and
right.
That's pretty cool.
That is very cool. Yeah, I never expect that to happen. Whenever I go to a convention, I'm always, maybe I shouldn't be, but I'm always surprised that people do recognize me. Even when I'm not in a costume, or when I'm in a costume that people haven't seen before, people still manage to kind of recognize me. And it's very flattering and humbling. It definitely took me getting used to it, because I'm not the most extroverted or outgoing person. Contrary to what I put out online, I'm not out in public that much. I keep my friend circle very small, and I don't go out very much. So whenever I do, and somebody recognizes me, and all my interactions so far have been very positive, so it's always a good experience. But whenever somebody does recognize me, it's always like a moment of, oh wow, you actually watch those questionable videos I put out online, and I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
No problem. Anytime.